Wednesday. It is hump day, my dudes. It is October 30th. We are officially, after today, 6 days away from the November 5th presidential election between Democrat candidate, not nominee, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and the Republican nominee, Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. There's a lot that has happened in the last few hours, and I feel like we say this every single time because every single day it's something else. And I am super excited to share this information with you. And by super excited, what I want to say is not really excited, but this information with you. Stop. It's not really exciting. It's more of a, I can't believe this is the information we're sharing. So let's do this. You guys may have already seen this. I'm not going to be the first person talking about this, and I will not be the last person talking about this, but Joe Biden and how he really feels about the American people. And not just the American people, but the American people who support Donald Trump, which is a very, very large amount of American people. Let's be fully clear on that. You guys ready for this? Listen, I'm going to play this for you. Let me close this out over here. I'm going to play this for you. And again, this will not be the first time you've heard it, I'm sure, but we're going to have a serious discussion about what you're about to hear. You guys ready for this? Let me find a way to make this screen larger. So number one, when you watch this, I want your thoughts on why does Joe Biden look like this? Number one, okay. Why does Joe Biden look like this? Number one. Number two, is it really him? Number three, it looks like he is reading from a teleprompter. And then I don't know if the teleprompter told him to say what he said, like they're trying to sabotage the crap out of this man at the ending of his career, or if he went off script, as he has a tendency to do, and sabotaged himself. So I want you guys to hear exactly what has transpired. This has been all over everywhere, I'm sure, but we're going to talk about it right here.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Latino is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Couple questions there. What the hell did he say towards the end? Because he slurred all his words together. Number two question. He almost started to say Puerto Rico, where he's from. Sir, you are from Delaware. You're not from Puerto Rico. So that was interesting there. But to call Trump supporters garbage, like, really? That's one of those, he said the quiet part out loud kind of moments. He literally said the quiet part out loud. That's the part, your intrusive thoughts that are supposed to stay in your brain. And Joe Biden said, you know what, screw it. My brain has dementia. I'm old as dirt. They're kicking me out anyway. They pulled the coup. I give a crap about Kamala Harris. I don't like her. Let me just say what I want to say. Because at this point, what does it matter to him? Like, honestly, what does it matter? He's technically still the acting president, but he's not acting like a president. And by the time he is out of the Oval Office, what's he going to do? Go be the greeter at Walmart? Walmart would be like, no, sir, this is not going to work out. You're not smart enough to be a greeter at Walmart. They won't even let him in. He can't flip burgers at McDonald's. And because of the things that he and Kamala Harris have implemented over the last 4 years, most places won't be able to hire him, or won't want to hire him because it'll cost too much, number one, or because they don't want to have to pay his health insurance, because the older you get, the more health insurance costs, right? Or because he's been replaced, like whatever job he could get has been replaced by robots and AI, because that's where we are at this point in time. So there's that. Now, the information that is shared by him with feeling like the supporters of Trump are garbage. The whole reason he said it was because of that guy, Kill Tony. I don't know the guy's full real name, but Kill Tony is his stage name. He's got a podcast. He does all this other stuff, and he is a insult comedian. We talked about this. He went up on the stage at Madison Square Garden with Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and he was one of the people that was brought out basically to prove that America has gone soft, that most people, not us, but that other side, those most people are crybabies and whose feelings get hurt over stuff that does not even affect them. When you have Puerto Ricans going, man, that shit was funny, or, it's true because, Kill Tony said he said there's this whole pile of garbage floating in the middle of the ocean. He goes, oh, wait, no, that's Puerto Rico. People took it the wrong way. It was supposed to be funny because it is a fact, but he just turned it into a joke. Like, it is a fact that Puerto Rico is swamped with actual garbage. It floats up onto the shores daily. They don't have anywhere else to put it. The entire country, part of Puerto Rico, is covered in garbage. So when he made the floating garbage thing, he wasn't talking about Puerto Ricans, you dumbasses, not y'all, them. He wasn't talking about Puerto Ricans are garbage. He was talking about the fact there's a bunch of garbage on Puerto Rico, right? Or in Puerto Rico. Yet Biden called actual people garbage. Called actual people garbage. JD Vance posted, he said, a mother mourning her son who died of a fentanyl overdose is not garbage. A truck driver who can't afford rising diesel prices is not garbage. A father who wants to afford groceries is not garbage. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden ought to be ashamed of themselves. And I agree completely. And what's even worse is that Kamala Harris has no common sense when it comes to answering questions or hearing what's being said. This is what Kamala Harris did. This is the reporter asking Kamala Harris right after Joe Biden made his remarks. The reporter gets Kamala Harris on the tarmac after she gets off Air Force One Junior, as I like to call it, or Air Force Two, whatever it's called. And the reporter says, do you sympathize with any voters who do feel offended by or insulted by the garbage comment? And Kamala says, I am running for president of the United States. I will be traveling to 3 states today. Now, let me be real clear. I read that as after Joe Biden made the comment, but that could even be after Kill Tony made his joke. It could go either way. But no matter which way this reporter is asking that question, whether it's Kill Tony based or Joe Biden based, the fact that this woman just completely glossed over it, I want y'all to hear, because, might as well start our day off with her voice. Ugh. I'm not going to put her face big screen. That way you at least don't have to look at her like that. But listen to this.
Biden took his comment last night about garbage.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments. But let me be clear. I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
Biden took his
That is what's interesting to me. So, look. Benny Johnson posted up the part where she goes, I'm running for president. I'll be traveling to 3 states today. It's not in the video section he put up, though. But her saying that she doesn't agree with Biden, number one, or doesn't agree that you should call people whatever, that shows that there is, dissent between the president and the vice president right now, that they really are not getting along. But she doesn't feel genuine to me when she says things. Let's listen to her one more time. Just hold on. Let's do this one more time. If I can get it to play right.
Biden took his comment last night about garbage.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments. But
did he?
Let me be clear. I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. Yet her and Tim Walz will stand up at their rallies and talk shit about anybody that's not voting for her. Just like I sit here and talk shit about everybody who's not voting for Trump, but I own it. I know that I'm going to talk shit about people who aren't voting for Trump because those people are morons because they're willingly voting for Kamala Harris. I don't mind saying what I think about them. She, though, is the vice president and shouldn't be able to do that or shouldn't do that. She's running for president and shouldn't do that. Same thing with Tim Walz. Tim Walz, though, y'all, Tim Walz, did y'all see where he made fun of Elon Musk when the first time Elon Musk went, I think it was Butler, Pennsylvania, when he went up on stage with Donald Trump and he was so excited to be there. He was like jumping up and down. And Tim Walz said something about, look at Elon Musk jumping around like I think he said dipshit or something. And I'm like, bro, have you not watched the way that you strut out onto the stage when you're somewhere? You have skipped. You have hopped, skipped, and jumped your little fruity ass across the stage numerous times while you jazz hand off into the crowd and whatever. Not a single bit of testosterone in that man's body, just so we're all fully aware. He is full on estrogen bound. For him to sit there and call Elon Musk a dipshit and talk about what he did and not even recognize that he is basically talking about himself is actually absolutely crazy. And for Kamala to stand here and be like, oh, Joe Biden clarified what he meant. No, the hell he didn't. Number one. Number two, for you to say that you don't think that anybody should call names or whatever based off of who they're voting for, your entire campaign, ma'am, is based off of talking shit about Donald Trump. If you're going to talk shit about Donald Trump, does that not mean that you are, in essence, talking shit about the people who want to vote for Donald Trump? Because they do go hand in hand. You can't sit there and say all these negative things about Donald Trump and then go, oh, but his base is great, because you don't believe that. If you believed that his base was great, you would also think Donald Trump was great. So in essence, she's talking shit about American people on a daily basis every single time she stands up to a microphone. Okay, so there's that. Let me get back to this other one here. So she had a rally in DC last night, and I want to show you this. She had a massive crowd in Washington, DC, but it's Washington, DC. They're already in the swamp. Of course, they're going to be there, right? So she had a ton of people there, and it really did. What is the word? Rival a Donald Trump rally based off how many people were there. But let's be real clear. This is a completely different type of person who is at a Kamala Harris rally versus a Donald Trump rally. So thousands of federal employees, bureaucrats, lobbyists, all showing up to support the woman who will uphold the corrupt system they benefit from. It's not really that impressive to me then at that point, when you have a bunch of people there because they need you to stay in power, or else they know they are all going to burn behind bars. It doesn't really have the same feeling as when Donald Trump is at a rally and people are there because red, white, and blue, make America great again, make America healthy again. They believe in patriotism. Totally different feeling. This is the video of her rally of all the people. There's no point in putting in any volume there because it's just going to be fake crowd noises anyway. Nobody's excited to be there. They're all just standing around, thumbs up their butts, that kind of thing. But there are a ton of people, right? Ton of people. Probably bust a lot of them in too. I did see videos of, I think, 5 or 6 white buses bringing people in. I'm sure a lot of people are there from California. They crossed the country to get there. I'm sure there's a lot of people there from Atlanta. For some reason, Atlanta people love to go to Kamala Harris rallies. I don't know how much they're getting paid to be there, but they're definitely getting paid. But you have them there. But when it was all over, y'all, she had them corralled in like cattle. She had fences put up. Bro, not only did she have fences put up, let me show you what this, hold on. Where is it? I know I've got it here. Where is it? Suddenly she feels the need to be surrounded by plexiglass in case somebody's going to try to take her out. Man, don't nobody give two shits about you like that. Ain't nobody trying to assassinate Kamala Harris. It's not, nobody cares. Nobody cares. You're a non-factor. You are the Democrat candidate, but you're a non-factor. Nobody's worried about you actually making it into the White House. I'm not, even though we have proof that we're going to talk about today that they are trying to fake the results and, tell you that she's winning and when she's not. But she is not, nobody cares enough. She just did that so that she could feel special because Donald Trump actually needed the plexiglass since somebody actually took a shot at Donald Trump. You know why they took a shot at Donald Trump? Because the Democrats asked them to. That's why. But okay, so outside of that, not only was she plexiglassed up, she had fences around this joker, right? And when it's all said and done, at the end of the night, when it's time for everybody to leave, you would think there'd be, a nice way out, a path out, maybe an opening in the gate. Weirdly, our borders are wide open, but if you want to leave a Kamala Harris rally, you gotta hop a fence. Oh, ma'am, the irony behind it all. In order to leave a Kamala Harris rally, you have to hop a mofo fence. Whereas if you just want to get into the country illegally, you can just walk. Just hop, skip, jump right over, swim through the Rio Grande if you really want to get wet or not. But if you want to leave a Kamala Harris rally, you are climbing a fence. I can't even make it up. It doesn't even. So on top of that, because wait, there's more. Where is it? Let's find it. Is this it? Oh yeah. So you know how, I don't think I talked about this with you guys yesterday. My husband and I talked about it on his channel. We did a little video together last night over on his channel. We like having conversations, right? So Kamala Harris and the Democrats talking massive crap about Donald Trump and Madison Square Garden. And that's where, they had a Hitler thing and blah, and the KKK and right? And they crapped all over Donald Trump for having his rally at Madison Square Garden, although they forgot to mention Lyndon B. Johnson. They forgot to mention Bill Clinton, all being in the exact same place. They didn't even talk about Tay-Tay and her Eras tour that was at Madison Square Garden. They didn't talk about, the Knicks or the Nets or anybody else who happened to play at Madison Square Garden. No, just Donald Trump for some reason got dragged because of it. Well, y'all, guess what? Kamala Harris is to deliver her closing speech at the DC National Mall, directly where the KKK rallied in 1924. We might have talked about this yesterday. I don't remember. Just it's so ironic that I'm bringing it up again because you're not going to see them saying anything about that. Not a single peep will come out of the mouths of the left about the fact that Kamala Harris is basically doing the exact same thing that they are dragging Donald Trump for. So that's that. That is that. You guys doing good? You having a good Wednesday? Tomorrow is Halloween. There's going to be a bunch of trick-or-treating kids running around. Have you seen the costume? It's fake, obviously, but it's funny. The costume that Spirit Halloween, they're saying it's a Spirit Halloween costume, and it's called the Middle Class Female. And it's a picture of Kamala Harris, and the outfit comes with like a wig and a blazer and, some stupid looking necklace. That's the middle class woman outfit. I was raised in a middle class family. This is where is what I want to show you. So we did that with the rally and the whatever else. So Kamala Harris had a sit down. I believe this is in Michigan. I don't remember exactly. I've listened to so many different things. I believe this is the Michigan one. She had a sit down interview with somebody and this lady asked her a question. But I want you, when you guys watch this, I want you to look at the fact that it looks like Kamala Harris is looking off to the side and not looking at this lady. Now it's not showing a teleprompter to the right of her, but I also don't trust that this is the correct angle of stuff. There might be a teleprompter to the left of this woman and they've got two different cameras. But when you look at this, it does not look like Kamala Harris is looking at this lady when she's listening to her, let alone when she's answering her. But I want you to hear the question and then I want you to hear the lack of response. You guys ready for this? Again, we're not going to go big screen. There's no point. Wait. We're going to go big screen. I hit the wrong button. So now you're stuck with it. Play. To Michigan voters in terms of the economy. We have auto workers who are being laid off and those who fear that they might be laid off. The average person can't afford groceries or their rent. And recent polls in Michigan show that Michigan voters believe that Donald Trump would do a better job with handling the economy and bringing jobs back. What do you say to that?
Well, let's start with this. I come from the middle class, and I'll never forget where I come from. My mother worked very hard. She, by the time I was a teenager, was able to save up for our first home.
I've heard this so many times.
And I understand.
Ma'am, at this point, every single person walking the face of this planet knows that you came from a middle-class family and that your mama worked real hard and your mama was able to buy you a house when you were a teenager in Canada, by the way, not the United States of America. Stop effing saying it. Who cares? What you need to do is answer a question. Talking about where you were 40 years ago, ma'am, you're 60, 50, 45 years ago has no bearing on where people are today. Not a single fucking lick of bearing on where we are today. 45 years ago. Stop. Just stop. Here's the thing. There are people out there who will sit there and listen to this and go, she does understand. She did grow up in a middle-class family. Oh, okay. Even if she grew up in a middle-class family, she was a kid. Do you think that she really was paying attention to any struggles her research mother, who got paid plenty of money from Berkeley, was really having when it came to putting food on the table when 45 years ago, prices were pretty effing good and most people could live a decent life with very little money because nothing cost the same as it costs now. We didn't have credit cards and credit card bills, and we didn't have all of the like enormous fees that we have for everything now. Everything she says is a load of donkey crap. Just absolute horse shit. All of it. Anyway, that is all. I wanted you to hear that. But when you were watching, did it not look like she wasn't looking? Like, I feel like there's a teleprompter hiding over here or something. Because when she's looking, it doesn't look like she's looking at that woman. It looks like she's off to the side somewhere. I don't trust it. I don't trust her. But y'all know that already. I have zero trust for that woman. There was another one I wanted to show you guys with Kamala before we move on to something different. Does Kamala realize that we don't buy her middle class on repeat answer? Both her parents were professors. She spent her formidable years in Canada attending bilingual French speaking schools and lived in an affluent area in Montreal. Stage relatability at its finest. Again, that is the whole point. That's the whole reason she sat down to have a beer with Big Gretch, was to stage something relatable. It's the whole reason why she popped a can open on the Stephen Colbert show, was to look relatable. All I saw was the woman that everybody knows is an effing lush find ways to go two different times to drink on camera with somebody so she didn't look like an alcoholic all by herself. Okay, so there's that. I came across this thing by Masculine Based on X, and it said, there's no plan to fix anything because the plan was to destroy everything. And I was like, oh, that's so true. Like, it was like one of those like arrows to the heart where you're like, oh no, that hurts, because you realize how accurate it is. There was no plan to fix anything because the plan was to destroy everything. Build back better. Again, in order to build back, you have to tear down. You can't build back something that's still there and working just fine, right? So it's all about the destroying of the United States of America. And by keeping Kamala Harris in the White House, where she has spent the last 4 years working with Joe Biden to destroy the United States of America, keeping her in the White House, all that does is continue their plan to destroy everything, not to fix a single effing thing. And then at the end of the next 4 years, we suddenly have where the United States has been signed over to the UN or to the World Health Organization or to the World Economic Forum, or it's signed away to somebody. And we are no longer the United States of America. We are now just part of the global one world order. And we are all ruled by whoever the hell's pulling all the strings at the very, very top. So that's an interesting one. Now, the reporter asked her about, the people of Michigan. And by people of Michigan, I'm going to say the people of the United States of America, because we all feel this way. We all feel that rent prices are too high, mortgage is too high, your grocery prices are too high, gas is too high. Everything is too high. Medical bills, you want insurance for anything, whether it's your car, your life, your health, your house, your whatever, even your cell phone insurance is stupid expensive. We all feel like life is too expensive, right? And you have Kamala Harris sitting here saying that, that the last 4 years, they're saying the economy's been great and it's the best it's ever been, which is straight and utter bullcrap. But if you look at this says, this is on New York Post. So, grain of salt, but whatever. Today's cover, this is actually from October 24th, not today. So it's a week old. Migrant crisis cost $150 billion in 2023. Okay. We're in 2024. There were more people crossing in 2024. Prices are up in 2024 over 2023. So imagine how much it's going to cost at the end of 2024, right? We've got 2 more months left. But in 2023 alone, $150 billion was spent, with crisis zones having to cut police, fire, and services to cover costs. You look at, where was it? Was it Philly? Shit. I don't remember what city it was. They were like, hey, listen, if you have an emergency between the hours of like 2 a.m. and 7 a.m., don't call 911 because we have nobody there, because we can't afford to keep the police stations open. We can't afford to have 911 dispatchers. So between 2 and 7, it's like the purge. You're on your own, fend for yourself. But, don't forget, Kamala Harris wants to take away your 2A right. So take care of yourself, like fend for yourself with meat tenderizers or something, because your guns will be gone. The fact that there are so many cities that are being overrun right now, And those are generally speaking, the same cities who are under-policed, underprotected, not because of the ratio of criminals to police, but because the ratio of money that can no longer go to police, which is why you don't have extra police. Why, if there is a house burning, you have to wait for a fire truck from some other neighboring city to come out and help, because a lot of cities are having to like cut back on everything. They called it land of the free lunch, which is true. My child doesn't get free lunch, but an illegal immigrant's child will get free lunch. What does Audrey say? Vote early. I did a week ago here in Georgia, Trump 2024. I voted early, first day available. But let's get back to this. So Charlie Belillo, I don't know how to say his last name. Price increases over the last 4 years. Let's have this conversation. All right. Let me tell you who Charlie Belillo is first, so that you understand why I'm going to give some credence to his numbers. He is the director of research at Pension Partners, LLC, which you're like, I don't know how I feel about that, but he is responsible for strategy development, investment research, and communicating the firm's investment themes. Now, somebody who is into the investment research and firm's investment themes and strategy development, all this other stuff, has to be somebody who is paying very, very close attention to money, like pennies, paying attention to fractions of pennies, like paying attention to every single little thing, because that is what their entire business is based on, right? So when he puts these numbers up, I'm like, price increases over the last 4 years. This is under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. Mike Pence, bless it, had nothing to do with it. This is all Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, okay? Medical care, up 7.8%. Apparel, like a t-shirt or some underwear or socks or whatever the crap, up 12.7%. This is the average, right? The CPI. Used cars, up 18.3%. Do y'all remember when we couldn't get to, what was it? When we had basically like the dock, not shut down, but we couldn't get imports and everything else because of everything that was going on. Getting a new car was almost impossible because nobody had the chips. That's what they said. Nobody had the chips in order to continue manufacturing the new cars, whether it was Ford, it was GM, it was Subaru, whoever, it didn't really matter. They didn't have the parts. So people were able to sell their current cars for a butt ton of money, but then those cars were then turned around and sold for an ass ton of money. I had a Chevy Silverado at the time, and I bought it for $41,000. And I realized I didn't want the Chevy Silverado anymore. I wanted a bigger vehicle so that I could, move my family around easier than in the truck. So I went to CarMax with my Chevy Silverado that I paid $41,000 for. And they gave me $45,000 for that truck that had like 16,000 miles on it. And I'd had it for over a year. They paid me more for my used truck than I paid for it brand spanking new, because they could not get new cars in to sell. So they needed older cars or used cars that were still in good condition. And I made a profit selling my Chevy Silverado. And I was like, oh, this is nice. But then in order to do the exchange, the vehicle I wanted was probably a good 5,000, 6,000 more than it would have been just a year prior. So it was a wash, right? It was a wash. But either way, you had people who were able to make some money, thankfully, from selling their cars. But at the same time, you had people who were overspending because they needed a vehicle, and that's the only way they could get it. So used cars up 18.3%. The new cars that were on the lot, because there were such a limited few of them, went up over 20%. People were paying, when the Corvette came out, the C8 came out, that thing was supposed to be like 70 or 80 grand. People were paying $100,000, $120,000 to get the C8 because it was a small quantity, because the chips were on back order, or not back order, but they couldn't get to them. And it was the new body style or whatever else. Now it's, back to normal price. Most cars are, whether they're new or old, they're back to what we consider a normal pricing. There's not the same inflation on them, but cars today are stupid effing expensive for no apparent reason. They cost so much more today than they would have under Donald Trump if he had stayed in office over the last 4 years. Even with the issues that were going on, I personally believe if Donald Trump had still been in office during the entire COVID pandemic and the whole issue with the shortages and whatever else, it still would have been a much better economy for us during those 4 years, and especially right now, than having Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in there. And here's why. Because Donald Trump is a businessman. He understands the ebb and flow of things that make a business run. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are two, let's use Tim Walz's words, knuckleheads with no clue between the two of them how to do anything. So when everything happened, all they did was F it up even more. They saw an opportunity to screw over the American people and find ways to put money in their own pockets. And that's what they did. You have food at home. Food at home, meaning grocery prices, up 21.4%, although we know that's the average. It is way over 200% on eggs, over 100% on chicken. Maybe other things are up 25%, maybe some are, flat, and maybe some went down a little bit. But when you average it all out, food at home, meaning grocery store food, is up 21.4%. Shelter. I don't even know what the hell they mean by shelter. I'm guessing they're talking about homes in general, is up 23.4%. You look at houses today, and I'll give you an example. The house that my husband and I had right before the pandemic in 2020, like 2019, 2020, right before it started, was a $324,000 home. I think it was 324, maybe a little bit less, maybe 314. All right, in Georgia. And we decided that we wanted to sell, and we sold in 2020, and we were able to sell for about 400,000. Which, seems like a great profit, but we were selling to move to a new house. That other house also was up in price. It was a 1995 house on like 6 acres of land. So we were moving from a new house to an older house, but we wanted more space, especially because of the pandemic and COVID and everything. We didn't want to be this close to neighbors. So we bought a house on 6 acres of land. And even that house was more expensive than we wanted to pay. But the one that we sold in 2020, again, we bought it in 2013 for 324 or 314, sold it in 2020 for 400. That house today, y'all, nothing has changed about that house. It is still the same effing house. It is worth almost $575,000. Why? Why does that house cost over $250,000 more than when we bought it? Absolutely effing ridiculous to me that is what is happening. And it makes it so that your first time home buyer has almost no chance of buying a new home in certain markets. Like where we were, that was a medium priced home, right? Medium price for your average middle class family. You know how Kamala likes to say middle class. So average middle class family, that was the median price. Now your median price is $575,000. How in the absolute are people expected to buy houses like that? So then electricity, y'all, is up 30%. There are so many people over the last few years, especially when these electric companies and gas companies, well, mainly electric companies, were going through and having peak times. Do you remember peak times? Hey, Marty 114. Well, it's not, your name's not really Marty, but that's what we're going with. You said Red Cross closing full North Carolina shelters. Ma'am, I saw that. We'll get to that one in just a second because that's a big deal. Electricity. You saw these companies throughout different states going, oh, okay, well, here's your normal price. But between, the hours of when everybody's home and wants to use electricity, we're going to charge you a peak rate. So between 5 to 9, if you want to use any lights, use your oven, use your refrigerator, charge your car if you have an electric car, all these things, they were going to charge you a peak price. So you have people paying more for the exact same things that they were doing before the 4 to 8 or 5 to 9, yet they're paying more because they're doing it in those hours in their own homes. How the fuck is that okay? It is not okay. And here's the problem. You have most electric companies, it's like a whole monopoly. You have maybe 5 or 6 electric companies that own every little thing. And so they can charge whatever the crap they want because what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just solar the crap out of everything? Nope. They find ways to charge you for solar. California, years ago, they came out with, well, if you put solar panels on your home or you do solar this or that, we're going to give you a tax credit, tax break, tax whatever. And then the next thing you know, you are now getting charged for the energy that your solar whatevers are pulling and that you're saving. Absolutely ridiculous. Gas prices, gas utilities up 35%. Transportation up 38.8%. When they say transportation, I'm going to have to assume they mean like the city bus, maybe even Lyft and Uber. I don't know what other transportation that would be. I'm going to assume it's that. Home prices up. Oh, shit, I was wrong. So when I said shelter, I don't know what shelter is then, because home prices are up 48%, which makes way more sense when we just talked about the numbers. Home prices are up 48%. 48%. It's the same home. Why does it cost 48% more for the same home? Auto insurance up 52.4%. You want to know why auto insurance is up 52.4%? Because there's so many people rolling around in shit-ass vehicles with no insurance and no driver's license and no speaking of English that are wrecking everywhere. And then your insurance is having to cover and pay for it. And therefore, everybody's insurance is going up. Okay. Then you have gasoline up 53.5%. Yeah. Gas was like $2.67 regular unleaded yesterday. Today, it's back up to $2.79 under Donald Trump. It was about $1.35. Looking forward to that again, just so we're all fully aware. Fuel oil is up 55%. All of this under Democratic leadership. Democrat leadership. We need a Republican back in the White House stat immediately to get these prices down. Now, I don't even think that Donald Trump's going to get in office and suddenly everything's going to drop in price. No, that's not how I feel about that at all. But the fact of the matter is, the first thing he has said is that he's going to reduce the cost of energy. He's going to reduce the cost of the fuel and the gasoline and the oil in general. And that changes everything. If your delivery drivers, your companies are not having to pay $7 a gallon for diesel and they're back down to $3, then they don't have to charge you as much to deliver. And therefore, you're not paying as much to deliver. You don't have to charge your customers as much for the products. It all works hand in hand, but everything really does start with the fuel of everything. Everything starts with the fuel, whether it's in the manufacturing and the delivering, in any of it, it all comes down to that. So for Donald Trump to get in and say, listen, we're going to bring the energy prices down, whether it's electric or, whether it's fossil fuels, we're going to bring those prices down. It's going to make a huge economic impact in a positive way across the board. I mean, think about it. If you want to go from point A to point B, and it should cost you $5, you're like, cool, I'll go from point A to point B for $5, not a big deal. When that point A to point B, the same amount of distance now costs you $25, you're less likely to go do it. Or if you're doing it for some reason, you're going to have stipulations on doing it because of how much it costs. If we can bring that getting from point A to point B back down, huge change in the economy. It's going to allow more jobs for people. It's going to keep more businesses in business. You're not going to see the Penske's of the world shutting down. You're not going to see other delivery places shutting down. You're not going to see as many restaurants shutting down because people will then have money to be able to go out to buy things and to eat and do whatever else. So to me, Donald Trump getting in office is going to be economically the most beneficial thing that there could be. It's going to be absolutely amazing. This is what I wanted to show you. I'm not going to play the clip or the sound because it doesn't really matter. But this is WNEP Scranton mistakenly showed the Pennsylvania results for the 2024 election. Now, let me just say, I'm very saddened that this is Scranton because The Office is one of my all-time favorite shows, and it's Scranton. And this is saddening. Either way. ABC News affiliate called it a test run. You'll never guess who they showed winning. I want you guys to watch this. Look at the very bottom of the screen. Once I get this up, it shows Harris Trump. Dang it, backwards, but whatever. It shows Harris Trump. And they're saying here, let's see if I can get back and pause it. They're saying here that this is the reporting, 100% reported, which not feasible. We haven't had an election day yet, but they're saying that Kamala Harris won Pennsylvania, or Scranton, Pennsylvania, by a high percentage. They're saying she had 52% of the votes. Donald Trump only had 47% of the vote, with meaning 100%, saying that she got 3.293 million votes. He only got 2.997 million votes. How can you do this? And then when they said that it's a test run, okay, why? Just out of curiosity, why do you feel the need to run a test run on the winning result of a presidential election? I'm very, very confused on why there's a test run for any of that at all. Number two, I'm not surprised that they put Harris as the winning one, even though you would think at this point Josh Shapiro would be like, nope. You would think he'd start pushing for Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, because he already has to know it's not going to go over well for him if she gets into office. Since I don't have proof of this, like I've said it numerous times, I don't have proof that they reached out to Josh Shapiro to be her running mate, her VP running mate. But if we were betting money at that time, everybody would be broke right now, because everybody assumed it was going to be Josh Shapiro. It made the most sense. Tim Walz made no sense whatsoever. And so I fully believe that they reached out and Josh Shapiro went, because remember, they leaked a ad video of Josh Shapiro accepting the vice presidential nomination. Why would you make that video if you didn't think that she was going to ask you, or she hadn't already asked you? So I think that they leaked that on purpose to see how the response would be amongst Pennsylvanians. Is that how it goes? To see what their response would be of him being a Kamala Harris running mate for VP. And I think that the backlash was so very strong that he reached out to Kamala Harris and said, never mind. And then that's how we end up with Tampon Timmy as the running VP candidate, right? And I think it's not going to go over well for your Josh Shapiro if she does become president, which the only way it would happen is if they continue to fake results and lie like this, like they did right there. So that's that. I'm thinking about the thumbnail I put for this live stream. Thumbnail. I don't know if you guys really saw the thumbnail or not, but there's a little picture in the bottom right, bottom middle of the thumbnail, and it shows Amtrak. Amtrak is making a, did I send it to myself or is that on my phone? I want to show it to you, but I think it's on my phone. They have made a railway or a line from Chicago to Miami. It's like you can get on and off anywhere along the lines from Chicago to Miami. It's an Amtrak thing. And my very first thought, my very first thought is generally negative, it kind of sucks, right? But by the way our country's been going the last 4 years, my first thought is generally negative. But my very first thought was this is a way for them to move illegal immigrants from city to city much easier, with it being less obvious, because trudging down the side of the freeway is very obvious. And then you have busloads of people. That's kind of obvious. And if you're flying them in and you're giving them flights, but no ID, it's pretty obvious when they go up to the counter or whatever to scan a ticket and don't have to show an ID. People notice these things. But if you just put them on Amtrak and let them get off in all these different cities, it makes it a lot easier. Because what do you have? Chicago, where the DNC was, you have a butt ton of illegal immigrants, and Chicago is overrun right now. They're having to use new build hotels to house immigrants, right? They are pissing off the natural citizens of Chicago and surrounding areas. And then in Miami, you also have a very high number of illegal immigration when it comes to Haiti and Cuba and things like that. Like you have a lot of people there, and you've just made it so that there is an easy way to get from one open border ish. Technically, DeSantis tries his hardest not to have an open border, but sometimes it happens, right? But to get from Florida all the way up to Chicago, or to take those illegal immigrants from Chicago and just move them all the way down the East Coast, just go ahead and F up the East Coast so it looks like the West Coast. And when I saw that, some people are going to look at it as a positive, like, oh, cool, I can just jump on Amtrak and, go to Chicago. Sweet. Yeah, but it also could be used for something completely different, which is moving people that we don't want moved from point A to point B. So there's that. I'm going to read you guys this quote from Donald Trump. No, damn it. Y'all, I'm not smart. Some days I astound myself with my lack of common sense. So if you look at here on X, this little blue thing is where you bookmark stuff. And when you bookmark it, it lights up blue and it saves it in this folder. And I went to go hit the make it bigger button, and instead I hit the blue button, and now I lost my Donald Trump quote that I was going to share with you. And it was probably very profound. Let's see if I can pull it back up. Donald Trump. Y'all just hang out for a second. Talks amongst yourselves. Let's see if I can find it. Where are you here? Nope, that's not it. He puts up a lot of stuff. Side note, Donald Trump on X and Truth Social and anywhere else, it's all him. He posts all his own stuff. He doesn't have some 20-year-old twit, like Joe Biden does posting for him, and Kamala Harris has somebody posting for her, all these like young kids. He does all of his own stuff. I think it's great. This is the one I wanted to show you or read to you. He says, while I am running on a campaign of positive solutions to save America, Kamala Harris is running a campaign of hate. She has spent all week comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. Now, on top of everything, Joe Biden calls our supporters garbage. You can't lead America if you don't love the American people. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have shown they are both unfit to be president of the United States. I am proud to lead the biggest, broadest, and most important political coalition in American history. We are welcoming historic numbers of Latinos, African Americans, Asian Americans, and citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. It is my desire to be the president of all the people. And that is so incredibly true. And here's the thing. When I was younger, 20s, 30s, up until literally 4 years ago, I listened to the left. We've talked about it numerous times. I listened to the left. I paid attention to the sound bites, and I just, listened to people parrot all this stuff. And then I became that parrot, and I parroted that stuff. And I was wrong. I was so incredibly wrong. And I know this now. When I was brainwashed by the left, I believed that Donald Trump was racist. I believed that he was trash. I believed that he was a misogynist. I believed that he was, basically the devil reincarnate. I thought that he was going to be the end of everything and whatever. Now I go, damn, Michelle, you're stupid. Like, plain and simple. So incredibly stupid for the longest time. When I step back and look at Donald Trump from 2016 on, when I first started talking crap about him mentally and on Facebook, I would be the person who'd go on Facebook and be like, I can't believe you guys are voting for this, blah, 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 blah. And I would just talk shit. I would repost people's posts. I'd repost their memes. I'd repost this and that just because they were funny or they pissed me off. They triggered me in some type of way because I was letting my emotions overrule my brain and any kind of thinking for myself and common sense, right? Which is a huge Democrat move. So I guess obviously I must have been liberal Democrat at some point because I fell into that trap. Now I look back on all these things because Facebook likes to do that. 5 years ago, you posted this. 6 years ago, you posted this. And I look at them now and I'm like, oh, that is the cringiest thing I've ever seen in my life. I look at it now, I see it. And before I even realize it's one of my Facebook memories, I'm like, look at this dumbass. Like, who would even? And I'm like, oh God, that was me. At one point, that was me because I didn't know better. Now I know better. And I 1000% believe that Donald Trump is for all of the people of the United States. Kamala Harris is for the illegal immigrants of the United States. Kamala Harris is for whoever she thinks she can get a vote from. If she thinks she's going to get a vote from the black man, she's all about the black man, which, Willie Brown and Montel and Diddy and whoever else agree. Unfortunately, weirdly, her husband not really falling into her normal type, if you will, gay and Jew. I don't know how that really works. But she, to me, is not for the incumbent. Is that the right word? No, that's not the right word. That feels wrong. The encompassment, still probably not a real word. The encompassment, you know what I mean? All the people, all the American people. She is for whatever is going to help her. Whereas Donald Trump, I 1000% believe, is for every single American citizen. And that's where the difference comes in. And I think that is what makes him amazing because he is for the people of this country, the people who belong in this country, who have either been born here legally, have come here legally, who have gotten citizenship legally. That is who he is for. Kamala Harris is for everybody else. She is not for you. She is not for me. She is for herself, her buddies, her cronies, her whatever's putting the money in her pocket, the celebrities, the musicians, everybody else. Not you, not I. So that's that. Y'all, I love you. My alarm was going off because it is time to go get ready to pick up my daughter from school. My mother's coming over for dinner. I'm making lasagna soup and some garlic toast, and I'm super excited that she's coming over. And that's about it. Maybe a video later, maybe not. Definitely going to be here tomorrow again for another one of these conversations. Hopefully you will come back for it as well. If not, it's okay. I still love you. Even if you don't want to be over here with the Squirrel Tribe, it's okay. I think that's it. Yeah. So you guys have a fabulous rest of your hump day, my dudes. And we'll see each other again tomorrow. Okay, bye.